NXT starts off with Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice due to the backstage segment they ended up having last week. Towards the end of the match, Cora Jade ends up coming out, distracting Kalani and Lola, but Kalani ends up taking the advantage and ends up picking up the victory. After the match, though, you end up getting Cora Jade. She ends up attacking Kalani Jordan and Lola Vice, but then you end up getting Stephanie Barker comes out for the save, but in the midst of it, Lola Vice ends up coming up from behind Cora J while Stephanie and Cora was having like a little stare down. She tries to attack her with the back fist, but ends up missing and accidentally hitting Stephanie Barker. Then this led to a backstage segment where all three of them arguing and about to brawl. This is interesting. I like the story that they're telling here of, Kalani becoming more of an aggressive version of herself. I like the story of them three having a bit of confusion. Also, then afterwards, later in the show, actually, we end up getting a segment between Cora Jade and Ava. Ends up saying that there's going to be a fatal four-way match for the number one contendership for Fallon Henley Women's North American Championship. So that should be interesting. Now, I am confused on why they're the four women that are the number one contenders for that championship. Bit confused on that, but it does make this feud a little bit more interesting. Interesting how this plays out. I still don't think Lola Vice should be a babyface at all. I really don't, but I don't mind it for this particular feud. Interested to see what the end goal of that match is, because I don't know who wins that match. Because Fallon Henley is a heel, so I don't know who. Even though technically they're all baby faces, so I guess I'm assuming Cora Jade is not winning, but the person who kind of needs it the most. Actually, it might just be better if Lola Vice wins because I don't think Stephanie should be taking a loss or Kalani. And I don't see none of them beating Fatal Influence because Fatal Influence are still technically feuding with Gigi Dolan, Shotzi, and them. So I don't see them losing the title yet anyway. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, though. I'm interested to see who'll be the one, who'll be the number one contender for Fallon Henley Women's North American Champion. Now we end up getting Ethan Page versus Cedric. This was a solid match. Before the match actually started, Cedric was getting interviewed, but then Ethan Page interrupts him, which led to a brawl, which ends up leading into the match. Cedric trying to defend his friend for getting attacked. Ethan Page ends up winning the match. After the match, though, he ends up attacking him, and then he ends up, he brings it to the outside, and then he ends up pulling out a toolbox, puts his hand on a toolbox, puts Cedric's hand inside the toolbox, and slams his hand on the toolbox. This is good. I love what they're doing with Ethan Page. I love how they're still keeping the momentum, keeping him in, well, not the main event scene, but keeping him in feuds, even though he's not in the main event scene. This is something they could have done with someone else who I'm going to mention later in the show. But I love what they're doing with Ethan Page. I really enjoyed the story they're telling. They're really selling this Javon Evans injury. I'm assuming he's going to come back sometime after New Year's Eve or maybe the week after. But I love what they're doing with this story with Javon Evans. I'm interested to see how this plays out. And you could do multiple matches because this shouldn't be a one-match feud. I think this should be like a 2 to 3 match feud. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Now we end up getting the 6 women tag team match. Like, I don't even think it's 6 women, actually. I think it's 8. Yeah, it's 8 women, actually. No, it is 6 women. You get Shotzi, Gigi Dolan versus the KCs versus Metaphor. I was extremely confused on why this match even happened, but towards the end, it made sense. Fatal Influence basically cost Shotzi and Gigi the match, which allowed Metaphor to pick up the victory, which makes sense. It makes sense for them to interfere because Shotzi and Gigi cost them their match last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, so it makes sense for them to cost them to continue this rivalry. Afterwards, though, we end up getting a segment between Unholy Union and Metaphor. Unholy Union basically end up calling their shot. They end up mentioning the tag titles and mentioning how they want to get their opportunity at the tag titles. So I don't know if this is for the number one contendership for the tag titles. I highly doubt it. I feel like something like that should be on Raw or SmackDown, not on NXT. So I don't think that's it. They end up mentioning the tag titles. So I'm assuming you have to put that into the story, because if this is just going to be a regular tag match, I don't understand the reasoning. Because like I said, if you're going to have tag matches on NXT and have feuds with tag teams, at least have the tag titles in there, because just having tag teams just feud, it just doesn't work without nothing to really fight for. That's just my opinion, but we'll see how this plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting Lexis King, Charlie Dempsey. Not going to really speak too much on this, but Charlie Dempsey has to give up the Heritage Cup due to a technicality of the Heritage Cup winner can't lose off of disqualification. I don't know if that's a new rule or that's something they just made up this episode. You guys let me know if that's always been a thing. But yeah, not Charlie, Lexus had to give it up, and there's going to have a rematch. I think next week actually. I think they're going to have a rematch on New Year's Eve. I could be wrong, but they're going to have a rematch, and it's going to be I forgot what they called it. Sudden death. That's what they called it. They called it sudden death. I don't know if there's still going to be a timer on it, or if it's just not going to be. I'm assuming it's still going to be Heritage Cup rules, but she says there's going to be one fall, so whoever gets the first pin picks up the victory. I'm interested to see how that plays out. I'm interested if they're going to actually give Lexus King his moment, or they're going to continue the story of him constantly losing matches, doing the right thing. I think he's going to lose the match, because William Regal also said that he won't be involved in the finish. So I'm interested how that plays out. I'm interested in the match because their match was actually a banger. They was actually cooking in the ring. Like, Lexus King and Charlie Dempsey was actually cooking in the ring before the interference from William Regal. So I'm actually excited for that match. Now we end up getting Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame. This match got official last week due to an interaction between Izzy, Sol, and Zarya. At first, I was confused on why this was even happening because I just thought that Sol Ruca was going to pick up an easy victory, but it made sense. With the moment that Zarya comes out, I knew that what was going to happen. Sol accidentally ended up hitting a moonsault on Zarya, which allowed Izzy Dane to pick up the victory. Now, during this, I'm glad that Izzy Dane picked up the victory because Izzy Dane is someone who takes way too many L's and someone that should be on TV more often. I understand there's a lot of talent, so she can't get as much TV time, but Izzy Dane was actually pretty solid. I like her as a character. She actually has a solid character. In ring, she could use some work, but from a character standpoint, I think she has it. She has natural charisma. I think that with a few more years, she could be one of the top heels. I'm not gonna say she is because that depends on booking, but she has the potential of being a top heel in NXT. Now during this, we end up getting Shawn Spears watching Izzy Dane and them. I'm starting to get a bit confused on what Shawn Spears' character and what's the purpose of Shawn Spears. He has a very confusing NXT call up because one, when he first got here, he was feuding with Ridge Holland, trying to have him turn heel. He didn't get him to turn heel, but Ridge Holland turned heel anyway a few months later. They never revisited that. Then we have this current storyline where he's trying to convince certain women to join him, but it's not working. And then he's doing this thing with Brooke. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Hopefully there's an end goal with this. The idea sounds great. It's just more so the execution I'm not really feeling. But the idea is fine. It's just the execution I'm not really feeling. But maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully it turns out great. Now we end up getting a 6-man tag match. Wesley, Tyson, and Tariq versus Hank and Tank and Andre Chase. Andre Chase ends up making his return. During this match, though, it looks like the babyface was about to pick up the victory, but Andre Chase was about to hit his signature Chase U kicks, Chase U stops. But as he was about to say it, he realized that Chase U doesn't exist anymore. He was about to say the CHASE, but he realized that Chase U doesn't exist. He stops and ends up leaving the ring, costing his team the match. Now, I'm interested to see where that story goes, but I want to talk about Wesley because I'm finna go on a rant here. Wesley right now, because it looks like they're about to build a new faction with Tyson, Tariq, and Wesley. I actually like this idea. I think this is good. I think this could get them over. The one thing I want to say is Wesley right now should be doing what Ethan Page is doing. They have completely fumbled Wesley's heel run. Now, I understand part of the reason is because of the injury towards the Rascals. I get that. I understand. That's part of the reason why I derailed his heel run. But Wesley should be doing... Now, I don't mind this group. Long as they book them right, this heel group has all the potential. They just need to book them right. And arguably, this heel group could be the one to dethrone Tony D'Angelo and the family. The only thing is, why will Wesley go after the North American Championship again? We already done that, but I wouldn't mind it. But hopefully this goes somewhere because they have completely derailed Wesley's heel run. He should be in the main event scene. You could have easily told no offense to Eddie Thorpe, but the story you're telling with Eddie Thorpe, you could have told that with Wesley. You could have done the exact same story, maybe changed a few things, but for the most part, you could have easily put Wesley in that spot. Now, I'm liking what they're doing with Eddie Thorpe, but Like I said, hopefully this goes somewhere because I like the idea. I think it has a lot of potential, and I like Tyson Tariq. So hopefully this goes somewhere. Hopefully this does not become a bad storyline. Hopefully this isn't a fumble. Now we end up getting the main event. We get Oba Fenby. He ends up cutting a promo. He ends up talking his usual trash. It was a really good, solid promo, man. Each week, every time Oba talks in the microphone, I get more and more impressed by him, man. He is really good on the microphone. Then we end up getting Trick Williams. Trick Williams basically ends up talking about the triple threat match and how he needs to come ready. He's going to be prepared. Then he ends up talking about Oba and talk about how Oba isn't unbeatable. That he's a person who is beatable because this match, he said the match wouldn't be a triple threat match. It would be a title versus title match because he still has his NXT title. Where's his North American title? Then he ends up saying that he's not chasing Oba. Oba is chasing him. And then he ends up mentioning that when Oba lost the North American Championship, he took a break. He said how long of a break you're going to take after I win at New Year's Evil. Then you end up getting Eddy Thorpe. He ends up coming out attacking Oba Femi and Trick Williams, standing tall with the NXT Championship. Eddy Thorpe is clearly losing next week. I mean, he had no shot, but him holding the NXT title just easily tells me everything I need to know. Overall, this episode, I will say, was mid. I will say that. Even though I did say some key things that lead to stories, this episode overall was mid, maybe decent, but this was a very slow build of an episode. I'm interested in the stories, but this was a very slow build episode. So I'm interested to see what happens on New Year's Evil that's happening next week. You guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.